Hello everyone, back again with another live video for you. In this one, talking about the most insidious trick that narcissists use that you never saw coming. You may not even been aware of it at the time, because you're just not thinking in that way as they do. And it's going to make more sense as I get into it, as I reveal what this insidious trick that they use is. So if you'd like to know what this is all about, if you'd like to know what is their most insidious trick, give it a thumbs up, and then let's dive deep into this together. So what it is really they condition you to believe that you are incomplete without them. They make you feel like you need them, as though you need to have this duty, this position of giving, providing to them, essentially worshiping them, seeing them as the ultimate authority, seeing them as your God. And initially at the beginning, they presented you this mask, this false self. And they mirror you, they take bits and pieces from you. They reflect you back to you so that you become a mirror that reflects who they're pretending to be back to them. So they make themselves similar to you so that it then becomes all about how wonderful they are and how you've now met the one. You've now met your soulmate. You've now met this person who completes you as if you weren't already complete before. And it creates this dependency. They use dopamine, making you feel like you need them, as though you can't live without them. And that is how they keep you hooked, until gradually you begin to wake up, you begin to realize that you're not actually even getting anything of value from this person, and you're just giving them all of your time, attention, compliments, praise, admiration. You're just constantly worshiping them, but they're not actually really doing anything. And so you begin to realize that it doesn't really make any sense. It doesn't really add up why you have to put them on a pedestal, why you have to see them as being so amazing, but they're not really even doing anything for you. And if anything, they're really a bit of a headache. They're taking up a lot of your time. Many of them can be very clingy, very attached, and they just don't leave you alone. And they need your life to revolve around them. They need you to just always be this mirror to reflect back to them how they want to see themselves and feel about themselves. And you became that source of supply because they felt like they were missing something that you possessed. You revealed some kind of chink in their armor, some crack in their mask that they wanted to cover up, that they wanted to patch it up with your qualities, your traits, and that's how they then idealized you. They saw you as the perfect target, as though, yes, they've got to get around you, they've got to take from you, mirror you, be similar to you, to conceal these vulnerabilities, this incompleteness about themselves, about the false self. And so that's why they chose you, that's why they targeted you, because they felt like they need to consume, devour these qualities that you possess to patch that up in themselves, to conceal it. And so that's what they did. And initially you believed in it. You believed that this person is similar to you, that they do share similar qualities, similar traits. Until, of course, a certain amount of time went by and you stopped falling for their lies and future faking. You started to see them as they actually are. The fog cleared and you began to see what was actually right in front of you, instead of what was just in your mind, what they wanted you to envision about themselves, how they wanted you to see them. Instead of following along with that, you began to see them as they actually are. The person that's actually in front of you and what they actually have to offer, rather than just this potential or what they try to make you believe. So yeah, you began to see a more accurate depiction of them. And that's when you reflected a different image back to them. You're always a mirror to them, but now instead of reflecting back to them this perfect ideal image of how they want to be seen, you began to make them feel worthless, insignificant, undesirable, powerless, helpless. And so they then wanted to regain that power back from you. And that's when they just got you to submit under pressure. They coerced you. Because if they can't have you worshipping them and seeing them as being this desirable person, someone who's intelligent, attractive, whatever it is, however they want to be seen, and typically whatever it was that they saw in you, that they felt they needed to be complete, when you're no longer viewing them in that way, then that's when they just want you to submit. Because of course, once you start to see that they're not really who they say they are, or that they're just acting, they're just pretending, you challenge their authority. And so they have to reinforce their authoritative role over you by then turning against you and acting like you're not good enough. You're not doing enough for them. That's why you don't deserve what they have to bring to you. It's like, who are you to challenge them? You're not even good enough for them. It's how they then, it's the argument they then present to you. Or that they use that to put you down, and because you're just naturally human, you're compassionate, you're empathetic, you go along with it. You just look at yourself and think, okay, maybe I'm not good enough. Maybe I could do better. And as soon as you start thinking that way around a narcissist, then you're really in trouble, because they're going to run you into the ground. And no matter what you do, it's never going to be good enough for them. It's never going to be good enough for them to bring back the performance, because now they know that you know. And even then, they never had anything to bring to you anyway. All you got was lies and future faking. Other than that, it was just a fantasy. It was just something that you envisioned in your mind. It was never anything real or practical. And so this is what they do. They make you think that you're incomplete without them, when actually you're not. You don't even need them. They are the ones who need you to validate this illusion, to worship them, to make them feel like they're something, because deep down they're very insecure. This is the result of childhood trauma. They were neglected or abused as a child. And some of you may say, no, the narcissist I was with, they were spoiled. Yeah, but what about their emotional needs? They may have been spoiled with materialistic possessions, but their emotional needs were not met. And that's the most important thing. Without that, it can create a monster, because they feel unloved. They feel like the person who they really are inside of them does not matter. And they're just judged on their performance or their appearance. Well, that's not enough, because as humans, we have needs. We have emotional needs. And if these are not being attended to, then things can get really bad. And of course, this is what happens. This is how they become who they are. This is why they want you to get down on your knees and worship them like they are a god. That's essentially what they want you to do. But of course, what would happen if you did physically get down and worship them? They would probably take that as an insult, sarcasm, like you're making fun of them. They don't want you to do that literally. They want it to be more under the radar. They want it to be like subliminal, like an innuendo. They want to get you in that state psychologically, where you're submitting to them mentally and emotionally, maybe even financially, sexually. They want you to submit in those sorts of ways because that's the trauma. Now you're speaking their language, you're on their wavelength. Because that's what it was as a child. It was all just this confusion. Things were under the radar. It wasn't clearly understood. And so that's how they want you to communicate with them in that way. It has to be purely psychological. It can't actually be a physical thing where you are actually worshipping them. Although some narcissists who are higher in the spectrum, they may desire you to do that as well. But I'm sure most of you probably were never pressured to do that. But yeah, psychologically, they want you to worship them. They want you to see them as something that they're not. They want you to believe in this fantasy. And like I said, it's kind of, it's all based on their childhood trauma. So they had to submit to the authority that was their parent, their narcissistic parent. And that may have been by giving them praise, it may have been emotional support, it may have been just total submission, it may have been by just being in fear. And of course, it was by not them being themselves. They had to be the false character. They had to perform for their parents, like a puppet on a string. And so that's why they do that with you. That's why they groom, condition you. They get you to dance to the beat of their drum. That's why they do that. That's what pleases them, because that's what happened to them as a child. So they're already feeling that, they're already thinking in that way. They're already thinking about, how can I get this person to go in this direction? How can I mold them like this? So they act out in ways that I had to as a child, in ways that I didn't want to, and in ways that I don't want to reflect on. I don't want to understand, and instead I just want to see you going through it, because then it makes me feel better. So that's where this is all coming from. That's why they act this way with you. That's why they have to get you to think that you're incomplete without them and you need them. This is why they need to feel needed. As it was with their own narcissistic parent, they needed to feel needed as well. And of course, the narcissist as a child, they needed to feel needed by their narcissistic parent. So this is why they use this trick, where they condition you to believe that you were incomplete without them, that you're not good enough on your own. And that's always the last thing that they want you to think, is that you are complete on your own. If you are complete on your own, then they don't serve any purpose. And then that means that they can't get what they want from you. They can't get your compliance, submission, your idealization of them, your fear. Their false self feeds on your admiration and attention. This is what they need more than anything. They need you to see them as they want to be seen, as something larger than life, as something ideal. They need you to see them in that way. And if you don't do it willingly, then they will coerce you. They will just break you down until you begin to view them as something greater than yourself, as something powerful. Even though they only feel that way because they get an attention, submission, compliance from you. And if you took that away, they wouldn't feel that way at all. they would feel very insecure. Because deep down they hate themselves. That's why they need excessive attention and validation from you. That's why they need you to act out in very specific ways that serve them, that make them feel certain ways and see themselves in a certain way. And this is all really just based on self-doubt. They need you to doubt yourself. Because otherwise, if you believe in yourself, if you believe that you are capable, competent, then you're fully in your power. And they don't have any power of their own. They've got to get that from you. And this is why they train you to doubt yourself, so that they can then feel powerful at your expense. And this is the whole point. This is why they create this illusion that you are the broken one. Even while you're giving and doing everything for them, you're propping them up, you're making them feel powerful. They make you believe that something is wrong with you, that you need to improve in this area. You need to be better for them because you're not good enough as you are. And of course, once they get you in that mindset, you keep doing and keep trying for them. And you don't look at them and how they're not doing anything for you because you're too busy doubting yourself. When they can get you in the mindset of doubting yourself, you're not looking at them and how their actions don't match up with their words, and how you're dealing with someone who's completely unlike you. So at all costs, they need the praise and worship. It's not just something optional with them. This is essential for their survival. They cannot survive without it. They can't just sit in a space with you without you admiring them, complimenting them, fearing them, submitting to them. They can't tolerate that because they have such a fragile, dysfunctional ego. They feel completely worthless inside and their lives are just completely meaningless. And it's you, your sense of innocence and an awareness where you are submitting and you are compliant. That's what gives their lives meaning. Where you're just dancing along to the beat of their drum. And you're just following along, you know, they just give you like a carrot on a string. And you're just going along with it without answering any questions. That's what makes them feel powerful and in control. Because it's like they're able to create this bubble, this world with you in it. And they're kind of like the master of it. They're orchestrating all of it. So of course they feel powerful by doing that. And especially you don't see, like in the Wizard of Oz with the man behind the curtain, you don't see what's really there. Because if you could see clearly, if you could see things for what they are, then they wouldn't get your submission, they wouldn't get your compliance. They get that from conditioning, brainwashing you, from getting you to view them in a certain way that is completely unlike them. Because they're not powerful, they're not important, they're not even really that attractive half the time. There's nothing special about them. And yet they train you to view them that way because they need you to view them that way. That's what gives them supply, and that's what allows them to exist in this illusion. Just like the story of Narcissus. I mean, that's where the word narcissist comes from. Narcissus, he fell in love with his own reflection in the river until eventually he drowned. First, he just tuned everyone out. He didn't care about what anyone had to say. Because even if they were complimenting him, it was nothing compared to him just looking at his own reflection, admiring himself. And even then, you know, narcissists, they view themselves through a broken prism. They don't get an accurate depiction of themselves. They view themselves how they want to see themselves, in an idealistic way. But essentially, this is what narcissists do. They're all just like narcissists because we are their mirrors. And they train us to reflect back to them how they want to see themselves by conditioning us to behave in certain ways or to react in certain ways, to where they know that if they're ever feeling insecure, invalidated, all they have to do is push this certain button in you, because they know that by pushing that button, since they've already rewired you to be that way, they know that by doing that, they're gonna get a certain response that's gonna validate the illusion and make them feel more comfortable and secure. So this is why they specifically wire you in this way, because it's to compensate for how they're really feeling about themselves and how they really don't want to feel. The reflection that they don't want to get of themselves. The reflection that they would naturally get from just interacting with you, especially you, because you are the target and you have the qualities and traits that they are missing. That's why they picked you. So this is why they train all of us to be their mirrors. We can't just act naturally. We can't just be without fear, without threats, without having to constantly worship them. We can't. They won't let you because they're very threatened by you since they picked you out. They targeted you specifically for those qualities. So they don't want you to stop validating them and instead reveal to them the very things that they secretly admired in you, but really not so much admiration. They just wanted to take it from you. So they don't want you to like put up a wall and then just dangle your qualities in front of them like a carrot on a string and they can't ever get at it. That's the last thing they want you to do. That's why they don't want you to have any boundaries, no support. They isolate you. And they don't even want you to see your wonderful qualities in yourself. They want you to view yourself as broken so that they can keep getting that out of you. They can keep getting this reflection from you that they are somehow better, greater than you, different in some way. This is why they train you in this way. So this is why they train you to be their little puppets. And, you know, it's kind of like, if you remember the boy band from the late 90s, early 2000s, NSYNC. They were like puppets on a string on the album cover. Because it's like they become a mirror to a narcissist. And even the title of the band, the boy band, it was NSYNC. It's like in sync. They need you to be synchronized with them. Like fused with them. To where you act as an extension of them. You're a part of them. And you act as a mirror that reflects back to them how they want to be seen, how they want to feel about themselves. Of course, if you're not synchronized with them, how can they control you? And so they're left to feel insecure. So they have to get you in sync. They have to get you all wired up so that they know when they push a certain button, they're gonna get a certain response, which means that you're still in line. You're still aligned with them. This is what they have to do. And yeah, essentially they want you to be their puppets and they want to be the puppet master. That's really what they want. And without you, their lives just feel completely meaningless. They manipulate your emotions to give their lives meaning. Because if we try and imagine what it would be like to be like them, I mean, in their minds, they're all-knowing, they're all-seeing, they're gods. You know, they view themselves as gods. Just like Narcissus, he was a god in his mind. That's why he tuned everything else out and just focused on his reflection and how wonderful he thought he was. So in their minds, they're gods. And just think about how boring it must be to be a god. If you're all-knowing, all-seeing, all-aware, You think you already know everything, you got everything figured out. It must be really boring. I mean, there's no mystery, there's no curiosity. There's nothing left to the imagination. It must be a very boring experience for them. It must just feel completely meaningless to be a god. And so they use your emotions, they manipulate you to give their lives meaning so that it's not so boring. Because of your innocence, your unawareness. You don't realize that there's a scrawny little man hiding behind the curtain, rather than, as you may be thinking, this all-powerful God. You don't realize that. And so, because it's not completely uncovered, it's not completely revealed to you, that sense of mystery that you experience, and you believe in this facades, that gives their lives meaning. By having you under control like a puppet. Because you're just essentially like their little plaything. You're their little toy. And they get to see what happens when I make you experience this. So they're just kind of toying with you. And they want to be the master over you because of their trauma, because of what happened to them when they were a child. Because someone was the authority over them and they completely mistreated them. They didn't meet their emotional needs. So this is what this is really about. This is the insidious trick you never saw coming, because why would you see it coming? You're not thinking that way. You're not thinking that a predator is going to seek authority over you and abuse that authority, mistreat you. And that's why you don't even see it coming. You don't even expect that to happen. And it's really because of your purity, your innocence, your unawareness. You're not like them. And yeah, I'm sure this is a part of what they saw in you when they first targeted you. It's what they wanted from you, and maybe it's what they decide to emulate. Because they're corrupt. I mean, just think about it. They abuse their power. They deceive people. They con them. They don't reveal who they really are underneath the mask. And even when the mask starts to slip, then they abuse their authority. They coerce you. So they're corrupt, and they know there's nothing good about that. There's nothing desirable about it. Who would want that? And that's why, if they can get you to think that they're actually really this wonderful person, or they can just get you to think that they're very powerful, and so you have to submit because there's something wrong with you and you need to be better, then they can toy with you in that way, and it gives their lives meaning. It gives them a sense of control. And yeah, they need control because they're insecure, and perhaps part of the insecurity is them not being able to be happy with the world. You know, by them, it's their mentality as a narcissist. They think everyone is fake. They think nothing is any good, nothing is good enough unless they have control over it, unless they can manipulate it back into their realm, into their world. Otherwise, they have no use for it. It's useless. So that's how they see things. And of course, someone with that mentality, it's already warped. So how could they enjoy anything? How could they be happy with anything that they have or anything in this world? They can't. And this is why they need you to be this way. This is why every narcissist, they all train you to act in this very specific way for them. It's all based off of their own trauma. You essentially need to be a puppet, a robot. That's how they need you to perform for them. Because that's the very thing that fuels them, that drives them. Is to have this, this component, this extension of themselves that jumps when they say jump, moves when they say move. and just thinks what they want them to think. It's what makes them tick. So this is why they do what they do. And it's very sad when you think about it, because essentially they're never really experiencing anything real. They don't want to experience anything real. They want to live in the fantasy until the day they die, because they hate themselves. They don't ever want to see a reflection of themselves. This is why there's never going to be a time when a narcissist will let you come to them and you're in a sound state of mind, you've had good rest, good sleep, and you're coming to them with facts, evidence, confronting them on that. They're never going to let that happen. They don't want anything to do with reality. They do not want to meet that reflection of themselves, a realistic mirror. They don't want anything to do with it. That's not going to make them happy. That's going to make them lose their minds, because they do not value authenticity. They feel like they're completely broken inside. They feel like they're completely worthless, inadequate. They don't want anything to do with it. So they're never going to let you do that. You're never going to be able to confront them. You're always going to be left feeling confused and unable to figure things out, unable to put the pieces together. Because if you were to put the pieces together, if you were able to figure things out, if you were able to think clearly, that would only expose them. They do not want to be exposed. They want to hide, not just from you, but from themselves for the rest of their lives. They don't want anything to do with it. Just like Narcissus, he just stared at his reflection in the river, and even then, he's like seeing a distorted view of himself. He's not really seeing himself. And yeah, this is what narcissists do. And they do this for life. And that's why everything they do, it's really just to manipulate you and to set things up in a way where you just become a mirror for them. And when you think about it, and here's the important point, and it's something I've never actually mentioned before, but it's an interesting point of view, is that the only reason why they even mirrored you at the beginning, the only reason why, is so that you would become a mirror for them. They mirror you so that you mirror them. And this is why you've got to be very careful. Whenever you see someone who's mirroring you, it's like out of nowhere, they just come out of the blue, acting like they're just like you, like they're on the same wavelength as you. They're similar to you. They think the way you think. That should always be a red flag. Because no one's ever really going to be that similar to you. No one's ever going to be the one, your soulmate, in that kind of way. But that's how they make it seem at the beginning. Because essentially they are a predator. And it's like a child molester, they just come out of nowhere, giving you what you want. And that's how they lure you in. That's how they bait you. And you're thinking, how could this be bad? I mean, this person seems similar to me. They appear to have what I want. So why not go along with it? Why shouldn't I mirror back to them? Show them that, yeah, okay, we're similar. Why shouldn't I do that? And that's how they get you. That's how they got you all caught up. If that didn't happen, you never would have gotten involved with them. If you had just asked more questions, if you had just thought to yourself, okay, yes, they seem similar to me. Yes, they seem to be connected in some almost like supernatural way. But let me dig deeper into this. Let me ask them some more questions. Let me learn more about them. Let me get them to expand on what they say they're so interested in. If we had done that, we would have exposed them right at the start. Because that is how you expose a narcissist, is by asking questions, trying to get them to expand. Because they will tell you that they're similar to you. They will tell you that they do the things that you do. But ask them, can you give examples? Or maybe they say they like a certain movie. Ask them questions about it. And especially if you ask them negative things, like if you ask them, have you ever done this to someone? Have you ever thought this way? Then they're really going to close up. They're not going to open up to you. They're not going to reveal more to you. You're not going to get more and more out of them. They're not going to expand. No, that's what a truthful person does. When someone knows that they are pure, innocent, they're going to be wide open. They're going to be like, all right, search me, I've got nothing to hide. You won't get that from the narcissist. They're going to close up. And their body language is going to be tense. And you're not going to get anything out of them. And that's how you will know. They might slip up, maybe. If you ask them a certain question, they might get it wrong. And that's what makes them close themselves off from you. The only reason why they appear to be open in the beginning is because you're going along with it, you're believing in it. Start challenging it and see how they react. But unfortunately, of course, many of us, we've already been through it, so it may be too late for that. But it's important to look back and to see, how did we get to this point? As for the narcissist, though, it doesn't matter what you do, you're never going to be enough for them. And it's because they're not enough for themselves. They need complete domination, total submission. But that's the only thing that's ever going to be enough for them. And even then, they will still want more. They will normalize it, and then it's like, well, you let me do this last time. That's how they justify in their minds. It's like, oh, I got away with this before. And then after a certain amount of time, things went back to normal. So why can't I do something more extreme this time? That's how they think. That's how they dominate you even more. This is what they do. And that's exactly how they think. They're not ever sorry. There's never any remorse. They're never thinking, oh, I ruined you last time. I really put you through hell. I betrayed you. I shouldn't have done those things to you. They're not thinking that way. How a narcissist thinks is like, yeah, I got this out of you last time. I got away with it. So why can't I get this much more? Why can't I get more this time if I got that last time? That's how they think. And of course, what I'm talking about is like abuse, betrayal. Not talking about connection, intimacy, or anything like that. But that's how we think. That's how we think as the victims, of course. We think, you connected with me to this degree, to this level last time. So why can't you be like that now? But you don't consider the feelings of rejection, inadequacy. So they can't be that way now. You're not as agreeable. You're not believing in it as much. And it's you who fuels it. So, yeah, that's the message. That's the insidious trick that you never see coming. Let me know what you think about this revelation. Is this something that you can relate to? From my research and experience, this is something that practically every narcissist does. They all do the exact same thing. And yet every victim thinks, no, this has to be just me. They can't be doing this to other people. There can't be other people who are all doing this. But they are. They're all doing that exact same thing to everyone. Just remember my example, the boy band NSYNC, the album cover, where they're all like puppets. And just listen to the song lyrics. They're all doing this, and they've been doing it for a long time. I'm telling you, this is what they're all like. And this is known as conditioning, grooming, in training, as Sam Vaknin puts it. They all do it because they need to wire you, train you into becoming a mirror to reflect back to them how they want to see themselves and how they want to feel about themselves. This is what they do. And if you don't go along with it, then they coerce you, dominate you, they get you to submit. So at least then, you know, if they can get you to fear them, it reflects back to them they are powerful, important. It gives them a sense of meaning and purpose, when otherwise there would be none. But yeah, it's a miserable life for them. I mean, you know, they have to view themselves as gods, superior, ideal, perfect. I mean, no wonder they're so bored all the time. No wonder they can't enjoy simple things like we do. This is why. This is why they have to treat us the way that they do. They can't find fulfillment in anything. Because that's just it. Sometimes it's better when you don't know. It's better when not everything is revealed to you. When there's mystery. And of course, that's what got us caught up with them. That's how we ended up stuck to them. It's because they didn't reveal so much about themselves. They were hiding. They were mysterious because they had a lot to hide. They had a lot of things that would have exposed them. That's why they hide. Because if you were to see the full picture, it would have been less than desirable. You wouldn't have wanted them. But that was what drew us in. It's because we couldn't see everything. It was concealed, it was hidden. There was a sense of mystery there, which provoked our intrigue, curiosity, fascination. It's what drew us in. And that's really one of the most addictive things that pulls us in to relationships with the narcissist, is that sense of mystery. And of course, they would be very mysterious because they're not really the desirable, powerful person that you think they are. They're really the man behind the curtain. But that's why they have the curtain. That's why they want to portray themselves in that way. But yeah, let's see what people are saying about what I've said to you, and if you have any questions, let me know. Keith says, parents do what they want and the child is a mind of their own, not needed to be molded in a lot of ways. Parents do it in love just like a spouse. Now that's different, obviously. You know, children, they have to be assimilated into society. So they have to be conditioned in a sort of way, because otherwise, I mean, humans naturally outside of society, they are more primitive. They're like Neanderthals, so of course they have to be conditioned so that they're safe to be around, and so that they don't grow up to be psychopaths. So this is for the benefit of society as a whole, rather than it just serving one person's ego. So that makes sense. There's nothing wrong with that at all. I mean, children should be disciplined, tamed. That's very important. But this kind of thing, you know, when a narcissist grooms, conditions their victims, that is abuse. That is betrayal. That is a very serious crime. And it's because they're deeply insecure. They feel inadequate, so they need you to worship them like a god. But yeah, it's very boring for them because, like I said, you know, they don't find fulfillment in things like we do. For them, it's very boring. It really is. I mean, like you could be playing a game with them. You could be playing, I don't know, tennis. And they're watching you, seeing how immersed you are in that experience. They can see you are enjoying the activity, and you're enjoying it because of your sense of innocence and playfulness. That's how you're able to enjoy it. Without that, it would just seem stupid, boring. That's what makes games fun. For the narcissist, they've got to have admiration. They've got to feel worshipped. So rather than playing a game of tennis with you, they'd rather just take the bat and hit you around the head with it. That's more fun for them, because then they get a sense of power. They can't be immersed in experiences and find true fulfillment or enjoyment like we can. And that makes them very envious. Promo Shorts 5784 says, when you drop the mirror, finally, it is over. That's correct. Once you drop that mirror, they're not going to see you the same way ever again. And they're likely to see it as though your innocence is gone. And to some degree, I guess it is. I mean, you know, they do take our innocence from us. And, you know, that's a part of healing, to get that back. But yeah, it's what they do, you know. They want to take that from us. Because on one hand, they're like gods, but then it's kind of boring for them as well, without having us around. They need an audience. But yeah, once you drop that mirror, it's all over. They're not going to like you anymore. They're going to start threatening you, coercing you, so that they can feel powerful. But that's all you really are to them, you know. You really are just a mirror. Other than that, you don't exist. Yes, the devil is mysterious. I mean, this is why they create a sense of mystery around them. Like, they don't let you see everything that they're about, what they're really like. They hide practically everything from you, because if you could see it all, it would just become boring to you. And you would realize that you don't really like them anyway. I mean, that's what you realize towards the end. So if they just revealed it all at the start, you would realize that straight away. So it's kind of like, it's like what we see everywhere, really, on social media and travel agents. You might see a beautiful destination, a beautiful beach, but it's just a snapshot. You don't see all of the garbage that might be around it and everything else. So it creates a sense of mystery there, but it's also deceiving, because if you could see what's really going on, you wouldn't be interested in it. Same thing with most people you see on social media. If you could see their true personalities, or maybe they just tidy up like a small part of their house to do a video or whatever, or to take a picture. And then if you could see the rest of it, you would think, wow, this person is very unhygienic. This is what narcissists do. They give you little snapshots. And let me tell you, it's very easy to idealize or to fall in love with a snapshot of something. It's very easy to do that. Of course it is. It's like, I could do that right now. I mean, okay, look at that. It looks like I could just take a snapshot of this, or the trees, and then I don't show you this this work site here. This is what narcissists do. And, it's not that it's wrong to not reveal everything about yourself straight away, or to want to create a sense of mystery. No, that could be fun, that could be playful. But they do it deliberately in a way that is, it's intended to deceive you. And it's so extreme that they're portraying the opposite of who they are. And that's how we all feel so disappointed in the end, because it's like, this person is the opposite of what I thought they were. Like, they're nothing like you. So that's why it's so disappointing. That's why it feels like betrayal. And because of all of the things they do to you. But yeah, I mean, a lot of times we are being deceived, we are being misled by everything in life. Because all you really see of anything, I mean, like your food and like the clothing that you buy in stores, just all of these things, you're getting a snapshot of it. You don't see everything else. You don't see where the food came from, where the clothes were made. We don't see any of this. The same thing with anything that you look at online. You're seeing a snapshot of something. Everything else is taken out. But then, narcissists also use this as well. I mean, like if you're trying to enjoy something and they just, because they just can't find fulfillment in things like we can, so they'll usually end up mentioning something opposite or something undesirable. They'll try and ruin it, spoil it in some way, because they can't be happy. So narcissists use that too, because they're already using it by not revealing who they really are and wearing the mask. and they overly expose things that you enjoy to kind of ruin the mystery. And you know, if ever you feel down, you feel depressed, and you want to feel better, you want to find more just enjoyment of life, start becoming curious again. And just explore that, you know, that mystery of things. Because that's really what it is. I mean, that's what it is for children. You know, that's what makes them so playful and innocent. And that's just how life is meant to be. But narcissists, you know, they're like traumatized children. They've lost their innocence. They're corrupt. They're corrupt because they're like the puppet master who's conning you, scamming you. And you know, that's the fun part for them, is just taken from you. That's the only way they find enjoyment in anything. Yeah, like Keith says, you know, mine would blurt out things that were huge. Yeah, they'll just start blurting things out and just like disrupting things. And as an example, like you could be watching TV, you could be watching a movie that you enjoy, and they'll just go and slam a door. They'll try and like disrupt it because they hate it. When you are immersed in something, when you are engaged in it, they can't do that. Whenever they are immersed in anything, they're just thinking about, how can I use this for admiration or to control someone? They can't just innocently experience something on their own. It doesn't do anything for them. And that's why when they see you doing it, they can't stand it. Because like I said, that's real happiness. Real happiness and joy is when you're innocent and immersed in something. You're just along for the ride, the journey. Narcissists are very boring people because they are just always at the end of it. They're always just waiting at the destination. Like you might climb the mountain, they'll take a helicopter to the top and just say that they climbed it for admiration. It's boring. Or instead of reading a book, they'll just skip to the end. They'll just see what the ending is, because they just have to know. This is why they're so boring. This is why it's so draining for you, because they just want to skip to the end. They want you to hurry up and just deliver them the admiration, the praise, the worship. Forget about everything else, it doesn't matter. Because without that control, without that power, they feel insecure. I do apologize for all of the noise. As you know, when I do a live video, they're always on it. They're always ready, waiting. Victor's 2611 says, I see them as a puppet. They act superior and try to charm people because they see themselves as perfect and people believe them, unfortunately. Yes, you're right. You know, narcissists, they are puppets too. There's different layers, different levels to it. So we are puppets, and they are the one puppeteer, and then there's another puppeteer above them who's controlling their mind with their trauma, feelings of inadequacy. That's what makes them want to do the things that they do to you. It's what made them that way. And this is why, they can't enjoy innocence, being immersed in anything. They weren't allowed to do that as a child. They had to work. They had to perform. They could have just played like a little kid. They couldn't do that. They skipped that part. And that's why they hate to see you doing it, because they never got to have that childhood. But that's why it just frustrates them. They envy it. They want to destroy it. It's like, oh, it's your time to play now. I never got to play. And even if I do, I can't enjoy it. It's just all about admiration for me. That's how they think. But of course, they don't actually think about it in that way. But that's just how it is. For them, it's about performing. It's about, they can't play any sport. They can't do anything. It has to be about taking pictures and selfies and look how wonderful I am. Look how good I look. Look at what I can do. They're never actually just immersed in it and enjoying it themselves. They never are. And that's why they can never be happy. It has to be, they filter it through other people and get them to live vicariously through it. So they steal your innocence. They steal your immersive qualities of being attuned to something innocently, without needing to predict the ending or knowing what's going to happen. They steal your joy, your excitement, because they have to be the puppeteer. They have to be in control. They have to know the outcome, the end of things. They need to know what's going to happen. And that is very boring. It's very boring. The most excitement, the most adventure I've ever had is not knowing. It's like if I'm watching a movie, a TV show, whatever it is, I don't want to know the ends. I want to take it slow. I want to see the events unfold. I don't want to just make my mind up about it, about anything. And I never want to have one fixed point about anything. No, I want there to be multiple different doorways, multiple different directions. I want to explore all of them. But with a narcissist, it's like, no, just close it all down. Just restrict it to just this one thing, this one road, this one option. Power, that's what power is. That is what power is. Power for a narcissist is just going from A to B. It goes from this direction to this one. This is how it starts. And before it's even begun, this is how it's going to end. And I'm going to make it happen. That's how a narcissist thinks. And this is why they're so miserable, because they're so insecure, they're so afraid, so easily threatened. That's why you ain't good enough for them. Because they had to plan everything out, they had to coordinate it all. How could that ever be good enough for anyone? If they had just given you a chance, of course a narcissist can't do that, but if they did, if they're able to, and just let the chips fall where they may, just let the events unfold as they would, just let things pan out naturally, organically, then they would have enjoyed the experience a lot more. They would have found fulfillment in the relationship. Because this is what life is about. Life isn't about just being everything and, just all or nothing, just black and white, right or wrong, perfect or flawed, just adoration, praise, worship. That gets boring. Just like when you're playing a video game, it's like If you have all of the cheat codes, you get bored of it after 10 minutes. You play through the missions, you can play that game for months, years, because that's the fun part. When you let things unfold naturally, you just let things play out. And who knows, maybe that's why we're here. Maybe that is why we're here, is because maybe outside of the simulation or whatever it is, maybe we have everything unlocked. Maybe we can do whatever we want. Maybe we can have whatever we want in an instant. And that may be fun initially, just like a video game where you have all the cheat codes. But then it gets boring. Because you already know, yeah, I can have that, I can have this, I can do that. I've already explored all of the possibilities, I've already done it. And then you just want to start again. And I'm sure many of you, if you're into games, you may have started again many times. You may have completed the game and then just played it again from the beginning with no powers, no nothing. Just to see, just to explore the different options, the different things that you can do. And that's because that's the fun part. The fun part isn't once you've completed everything and you've unlocked all of the powers. That's fun for a certain amount of time, and it's fun only because you made progress in the game. That's what makes it fun. Not when you just unlock it all with a cheat code. But even then, I mean, once you've enjoyed all of the things that you've unlocked, after a certain amount of time, you still just want to go back and start again. And it's the same thing with life. This is why, I mean, it's no coincidence. You see, there's so many men, older men, like they get to a certain age and they may have worked really hard throughout their life, become very successful. They've got a good reputation where they live and they've got lots of friends, connections, everything. Well, they will drop all of that, all of the perks that they have unlocked, that they have achieved. They will drop it all and go somewhere and start again. And you think, why would you do that when you worked all that way up? And it's because the fun part is the progress. It's gradually achieving, unlocking things. That's the fun part of life, not the destination. And this is where narcissists, they really get it wrong. Because they just want the end, let's just stop now. Let's just make me feel enough now. Just make me feel good about myself. Just worship me. That's how they think. They just want your total submission straight away. Thanks for the donation. So what? So what says, good morning, all. 2:38 New York time. I've never been to New York. I've heard that it is the city that never sleeps. So I bet even now all of the shops are still open and it's probably still quite busy outside. Sentinel87 says they make weird, bizarre and outrageous claims about us that we would never say about ourselves. And it's like, where are you getting this from? Where they get it from is a projection. They are projecting things onto you that they are already thinking about and that they're insecure about themselves. And you will see it, they do things to you. And you think about this is so random. Why are you just doing this now? And it's because It's what they're already doing to you. And then they're trying to put you through it. They want to see you going through something that they're doing to you already, to just kind of like unload it onto you, because they're feeling shame about it. They know they're doing something wrong. Aaron Michael says, from what I've studied, they go to their deathbeds with all of that same old energy. All they do, you know, no matter how old they get, they're still the same. They're still miserable, still just having to manipulate people, deceive them, con them. They never find inner peace. They never find true happiness, enlightenment. They never find it. And that's very sad, because I think that is kind of our purpose here. But yeah, they never get that. But you, as the victim, you will learn so much, you will gain so much wisdom that it is unbelievable. If you keep on this, if you keep studying this, you will really begin to figure things out. As I have, I mean, I've gotten to a point now where I even impress myself with my own knowledge. Like, I'm just responding to like a post on Instagram or something, and I'm just typing something out, and I'm thinking, wow, I can't believe that I have this information inside of me. Like, I just come up with this stuff on my own. It's just incredible sometimes, the different concepts that I can come up with. The only thing is, you know, at this point, there's not so many people who I can explore these ideas with. But I do find myself watching a lot of YouTubers and, you know, just exploring some really deep topics. Matt Smith said, I saw a video about the factory in China that makes wall hanging YouTube buttons. The people were miserable that work there. I mean, you know, what I'd like to ask you is what tuned you into that statement about YouTube? You know, if you want to comment on YouTube's supposedly foul business practices, but it's like, what about all of the other companies? Do you know how many companies in this world operate from factories in China? I mean, just think about it. China has the largest population in the world, over 1.5 billion people. So to me, it seems like you got some kind of agenda there. You know, especially since I'm doing a video on YouTube now, and you're kind of singling out YouTube's business operations in China, the largest country in the world with a population of 1.5 billion people. So, you know, that makes me kind of suspicious. course, it's not all perfect or flawed with anything. YouTube isn't completely perfect. I'm not saying that. No company is. There's things that you can criticize and there's things that you can appreciate. I myself, I do appreciate that they took the time to make this one for me. This I had nearly coming up to 4 years ago. But I still take it with me everywhere. And of course, I know it didn't cost much money to build that. But it has sentimental value to me. It has a meaning to me. And that's just it, sometimes you'll find that things in your life, they may not have much value so much in purchase value or in sale, but it's that sentimental value, that meaning to you. Like that's really what it is. Like such as with Nala, I mean, many of you may not believe like how much money I spent to purchase Nala, but I had it 8 years ago. It cost me just £30. And you just think about how much money I spent taking her around the world, and pet sitters, everything. I don't even know how much I spent. But to me, it's worth every penny. I never look back and think, oh, I could have spent this money on something else. I never think that way. Because Nala's very important to me. And if anything, I just kind of look back and think, oh, I paid £30 to purchase her. It just seems stupid. Because if someone offered me millions of pounds for Nala, I would still turn it down. Because you just can't put a price on that, that bond, that connection, that loyalty. And I think that's the most valuable thing in this world, is that connection, that sentimental meaning. That matters more than anything. And of course, that's what we all have here. But of course, there's, like I said, there's a big difference between that and what narcissists do. But yeah, I think that's a good message to end this video. I mean, connection, sentimental value above everything else, to me. It really is. I mean, it's like, even if you got something that didn't really cost you much, it wasn't that expensive, but you've taken it places, it's been with you on your journey, and so it means something to you. And it's like, that's what makes it special. That's what makes it matter, is that bond, that connection, that meaning that you have given to it. So, that's what I value in life, is the meaning that I give to things. And, to narcissists, that doesn't mean anything. It's meaningless, worthless to them. But I believe that these feelings that we have, these meanings that we give to things, I believe that transcends this world. And I believe that because, what is that? That's love. It's love, isn't it? It's very high vibration. And perhaps, that's why narcissists do the best that they can to take that very thing away. It doesn't matter if it doesn't mean anything, then why take it away? Why just leave it there? Of course, that's exactly what they do. Because if you look at it, it appears to mean more to them than anything else, than it does to anyone else. So much that they want to destroy it. Because it's that one thing that they can't have. It's the one thing that they gave away because they lost that connection to themselves. Speaking of Nala, she is here to end the video. Who can believe I paid £30 for Nala? And then probably, must have been on the first day, I already spent over £30 on Nala, with food and her bowl, and I got her a litter tray. I spent over £100 just on a cat tree, and this is 8 years ago. So, yeah, I've invested a lot of money into Nala. Tens of thousands of pounds over the years. She's been on many flights. She has stayed in hundreds of different hotels, condominiums, been in dozens of cars. She's like a celebrity cat. And again, that's because of my empathy. When I got her and I picked her up out of a home that it didn't look too good. It was like some house down a back alley somewhere. And she was there with a bunch of other cats. I think I saw maybe her sibling or a parent in the window, because that's where she was born, with some other kittens and with her parents, who were sold to different people. But yeah, I picked her up there. I just took a bus down to pick her up. And that was a very special moment to me. It really was. And the early days of when she was a kitten, all of these experiences meant a lot to me. They were very special. But especially that moment, just that initial encounter, I'll never forget it. When I first collected her, the woman was kind of rough with her. She just kind of just dumped her into the cage that I bought for her. I thought she was a bit rough with her. But yeah, I'll always have those memories. And to this day, we still have this very special bond together. And nothing's really changed. If anything, we just have a deeper connection now. But I still look at her the way I did, when I first got her. Still, I'm very grateful to have her. Thank you for the donation, Fed Up Survivor. But yeah, it just goes to show, Initially, I spent just £30 to purchase her because I didn't have much money at the time, and that was kind of within my budget. But also, I picked her out of a bunch of other cats online. I went into Gumtree and I saw maybe a couple of pictures of her, and it was just something about her face. I don't know what it was. I mean, she still looks the same now. But yeah, it's just something I like about the shape of her face and the colour. It's very attractive to me. And yeah, 8 years. Yeah, I love her. It's definitely one of the best decisions I made in my life, is to have this cat. And to me, that means something, that bond, that connection, that love, and the loyalty, that means more to me than anything. Of course, we have to be careful because there are a lot of scammers out there. Toward the terrorists, I should get a cat friend like that. Cats don't judge you as harshly as people do. I'm happy to see you keep good company. Yeah, that's true to some extent, but, Nala can be... She can get very funny, when it's things like I'm giving her flea treatment or medication, like when she had a UTI before. And then she can, ignore me, and... So, things do happen. We do have, our silent arguments. We have had ups and downs, just like in any relationship. But yeah, I'd just like to finish up with that message then. I'm gonna get to the gym. Video went on a bit long yesterday. I didn't have any time for the gym then. I was too tired by the end of it, but today I gotta go now. So yeah, if you enjoy this video, please give it a thumbs up. And drop your comments down below. Any questions? Let's start a discussion together. If you're new here, subscribe, click on notifications so that you will be notified when I go live again. And if you would like guidance to support your healing journey, you can book a one-on-one with me by going to narcsurvivor.co.uk. Your donations greatly appreciated, no matter how small. You can donate by going to paypal.me/narcsurvivor. The links are down below in the live chat. And also you can follow me on my Instagram. I'm often uploading new content on there as well. So that's it from me and Nala today. Thank you all for joining us. And there will be another video premiering in about 7 hours. So yeah, thank you all. And I will talk to you in another one very soon.